And Joe.
And here we are.
Man, you look like you have a really nice tan up on there.
Well, it's my makeup right now too. I have
Oh,
a
okay.
new powder.
I'm super white.
Yeah. It's actually the powder that I got is by Fenty, Rihanna's line. For those of you who, I don't know, just want to know. I'm really about her line right now. Yeah.
Fenty, is that like Fendi? That's different than Fendi.
Fenty Savage.
Is Fendi a thing?
Fendi is a
Is
very
another
high
thing.
end, but Fenty is Rihanna's line, Fenty, and then I think it's Fenty Savage, which is Savage. I think I could be really wrong about this, but
Oh, she went basically took their name. Just
uh,
changed the D with the T.
well, and there's a Y at the end of it.
Oh,
Well, I mean, I feel like if anyone could do that, it's Rihanna because everyone loves her, and her makeup line, her cosmetics line is literally like it's like one of the top, like it brings in like it's crazy. Like she's actually like she was well off musically, but her line, to my understanding from what I read on, like really like made her now, I think the top for youngest artist, for youngest female, she's like in the billions with her line. It's crazy.
so weird. I don't want to keep talking about Rihanna, but I just haven't heard about her in a long time
Well,
since she had her
she was at the
baby or
Super
whatever.
Bowl and she performed on the Super Bowl
Oh,
and she
didn't watch the
performed
Super Bowl.
I didn't watch it either, but I watched that performance because that's all I cared about. And she was pregnant with her second child as she did it.
Oh my god. Can't believe it.
So anyway, so yeah, so we are just wrapping up the week. It's Thursday. Thank goodness, going into Friday, and I have a nice little vacation coming, which is really nice. So
Another vacation
another
for Aaliyah.
another
I'm
trip, yeah.
working.
Well, listen, it's not my fault that your job sucks and that you can't like get away or do anything. Like it's not I just so happen to have a job that one, I don't work on the weekends because I made sure of that. And two, I get to literally work from anywhere around the world if I chose to.
Yeah, you're not even working this weekend though. You're just
No, because I don't work on the weekends because I made it like that. Because who the fuck wants to work on the weekends? And who wants to work every single day anyway? I'm trying to actually eventually just work like 3 days again. That's all I want.
okay. I got my Apple Watch working, and I'm very excited about it. It's been when we went to Tulum, it went down in the cenote down. God knows how far. That must have been like 20 feet,
I
maybe.
don't know. That was really
It
far
was so
away.
far down that I couldn't swim down to the bottom to get it. I
No,
had to
they had to get a
pay this other guy to dive down there.
who wasn't even a diver. I think they just do that shit for fun. They
Yeah,
just like do stuff like
yeah, I
that.
don't know, but my ears were about to explode going down there. So this guy dove right down there. But anyways, yeah,
And
it's
that
been.
was about 3 years ago,
I
4 years
know.
ago.
So I just revived it, and it's working. I'm feeling excited. It's my exciting thing for today.
Very cool.
So what do you want to chat about today?
I don't know. I don't know. I never really have anything to discuss. Really.
There has been a lot of things going on, but I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what you like talking about anymore.
Oh my God. I could talk. First of all, this is our podcast. So on the podcast, I will talk about anything.
Oh, okay.
Joe's just saying that because last night he realized that I don't really enjoy. It's not that. So this is the thing. Let me explain myself clear. And I explained this to you last night, yet you still just had this little comment that you just said, which makes me think that you did not hear what I said because that's not what I said last night. I'm going to
I heard what you said.
explain it.
Listen, I know what you're saying, and I just know that there's time frames. Like right now, we have a podcast. That's my time frame, which I feel a little bit. I can. We won't get into details because it's unnecessary. But I feel as though during the podcast, I know I have an hour. But sometimes you guys might hear me speaking fast when I'm trying to talk about certain things because I know Aaliyah's either falling asleep or we're getting to the end and I'm never going to be able to get this information out ever again. Outside of this podcast, I'm like because I got literally maybe a minute to explain whatever the fuck it is before you start drifting off into not care land.
Right. So And then again, let me explain that, because that actually does go, though, to what I said to you last night. I feel like there are some people in this world who have brains that will focus heavily on like one thing, and that's their thing, and that's it. And that's what they do, and that's it. Then there are some people in this world who have brains who focus on, okay, I love this and I can focus on this, but I also love to do this, and I could focus
What's
on
my
this. Hold
one
on,
thing?
but I also love to do that. I have like a
I'm the one thing guy, I
combination.
guess.
You are one thing guy
Well, what's the one thing?
when it comes to your likes and your interests and things that you like to talk about.
What's the one thing?
The only thing that you like to
Only
talk
thing.
about is like when it comes to spirituality stuff, life, the
Hold on,
universe.
that's more than one thing.
I put that under, so okay, so if we're gonna do an
Oh, that's
umbrella,
an
no, no,
umbrella.
no, no. I mean, like there is a category for all of that goes. So okay, if we're talking categories, that's the category. You just like to always talk about intense, deep life stuff all the time.
Reality.
That's the thing. But reality doesn't have to always be so intense. You're so intense about it. Whereas me, I don't have to always be so intense. And not every conversation needs to be about quantum physics. Not every conversation needs to be about fucking this, that. I don't need to go that deep all the time. It's exhausting, to be quite honest. But do I like having those conversations? Sure. I just know when to have it on because I want to talk about it, and when I don't need to have it on. You, however, you don't have any other categories in life that you like to talk about. That's the only category. So it kind of makes it difficult, to be honest,
But
talking to
that
you sometimes,
category has an
because
umbrella that is humongous. So it's like
it has an umbrella that's very,
a
yes, it has
million
an umbrella
things.
that's really big, but it's all very intensely deep things. Sometimes you need to like not just be so like, and I told you yesterday, your energy is so it's so all the time that I'm like, man, like in
I
the
also think
beginning, honestly, in the beginning when I first met you, yes, it was exciting. I love talking about those things, whatever. But when I realized that I can shut off and you can't,
not that I
eventually over
can't, that I don't.
time,
There's no need to.
for you there is no need to, for me there is. And so that's where the conflict is. I don't have a brain like yours. I don't want to always talk about these deep intense things every fucking day. I don't. I feel like there's other things to talk about in life
I think
minus that, and I think I have a good balance of talking about those things and talking about reality and talking about life and talking about that, and also, I don't know, talking about UFC and just shooting the shit about a fucking cool fight and da 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 da, or just talking about, I don't know, some crazy thing that I heard about someone who just gave birth and da, da, da. I don't know, like anything. I just like talking about. But you, every time I could have a conversation with you, and I could be like, "Oh my god, this woman just gave birth in this like tiny little hole, and she was found under the ground, and da 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 da,
that seems
whatever."
pretty
And
intense
I'm
to
like,
me.
"Oh my god, that's super. It's mind blowing. That's crazy." But you'll like take that, and it always has to go somewhere like, you ever think about how people know it? And then it's like this like intensely deeper thing. And I'm like, I don't need to go there. If you want to go there all the time, that's fine. Call your fucking friend. Speak to your friend. Your best friend talks about that all the goddamn time, I'm sure. And his wife is not also wanting to talk about that all the fucking time either. So guess what? Talk to him about that. And then that's fine. I don't understand why I have to be the person to always talk about all these intensely deep things all the time. Like it's not fun for me.
Well, I think you're overgeneralizing
I'm not
this with
overgeneralizing. It's the truth.
intensely deep. It's like no, like I
If
will
anyone
talk.
has ever
The
met
only things,
you,
hold on,
if
the only
anyone
things that
has
I
ever
don't
met
talk
you,
about
they
are
know that you cannot just have a regular conversation, which is fine. It's fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, Joe. I think it's great. Each human being is different. That's why life is so amazing. I'm not that. And that's okay. You can find that through other outlets and other support systems that you have in your
but
life.
no, you just made a good example of like you bring up this whatever one woman having a baby in a cave or some shit,
Yeah.
and like I'm just talking about the topic. So it's like you don't even want me to talk about your topics in a detailed manner.
It's because everything that comes again, I could be like, yeah, so I just went and just like got this coffee, and the coffee is just like really good and da da da, and I love it. Very just basic. I just want to stay basic. There's no need for my brain right now at this moment to go into a heavy fucking thing.
So what do you
And
want to
you're
talk
like,
about when you talk about coffee?
and you're
Like
like, you ever wonder how coffee started and the people who created coffee, and they came from the I don't know, the caveman times, and they used to you ever wonder how other people in the world and da da da, and I'm like, no, I never fucking wondered that. And guess what, I don't really give a shit. I'm just came to tell you that the coffee that I just had was really good. That's it. It's like, that's it, like, and I'm just not like, that's it. You always know everything has to be this,
then
like,
you're saying because I want to understand things or talk about things deeper, that basically this is the conflict,
it's all the time.
that we can't talk about anything. This is what I was talking about last night.
No,
You're
we
saying
can,
no, we
because
can, but like,
sometimes I actually do enjoy having those conversations, and I
but
do
that's all
think it's
based
great.
on you and what you're feeling at the moment or any time. I basically have to sit around and hopefully continuously throw things out there, and then one moment you
But it's
might be
not,
like,
see,
yes, actually, right at
so
this
this is
moment
the
I want to talk
thing.
about this.
This is the thing. This is where I think that you needing more friends who are actually on your level really actually does come in handy. Because in a relationship, it can't just be me. Like, I can't just be that person for you all the fucking time. And
Well, I think you
unfortunately,
tricked me.
you only have one friend that really actually can cater to that with
Well, I think
you.
you tricked me because like
I did not trick
the
you. That
first
was
year you loved doing this. We
that
didn't even never watch movies or TV.
Yes,
We didn't do.
because we had just met. I was so happy. It's a great relationship. Everything's wonderful. You
You
get into a
hoodwinked
new
me.
thing. And I totally love talking about those things. But here we are 5 years later with a fucking toddler, and my mind has a lot going on. And I don't always want to get so deep all the fucking time. So guess what? Get some other friends. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I have so many other support systems and people to talk about many different things. So many. If I want to talk about this, I'll contact Catherine. If I want to talk about this, I'll maybe contact Christina. If I want to talk this, I'll contact Ciel. If I want to talk this, I'll call Kate. If I want to talk, it's like that's, and I think that's great. You only have one person. Like, find some more people.
Anybody out there want to be my friend?
If you want to have those conversations all the time, and your mind is always going to,
I don't want to have them all. It's just like I
you ever
don't
wonder
know
how
how else to talk.
how the word rejuvenate came into how it started. You ever think about who
Clearly, you don't.
created the thing? No, I've never fucking wondered that, nor do I really care about that, to be honest.
So, what do you care about?
I
And
care about having really great
can I?
conversations about, which we do. Like last night, the conversation we had turned into a great conversation. I forgot what it was though, but it was a great conversation. When we have
Hold on,
conversations
the one
about
what the after the fucking double slit theory?
after that, yeah, that was like
Because we're talking about
too much for me.
quantum mechanics and the uh, observer.
He's like,
effect.
"Oh my god, I have a really exciting this video is so amazing. It's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna be so great." And so I already know what I'm getting into. So I'm just kind of like, okay. And I
So
know
not
it's not going
open-minded.
to. I
So not
know
open-minded.
because I know you, and I already know that it's not going to blow my mind the way it blows your mind, because you've done this to me several times, where you'll show me something and you're expecting me or hoping that I'm going to get really mind blown by it, and then I see it and I'm like,
So let's spend the rest
either
of the time.
one, I don't understand it, or two, I'm just like, I get it, I hear it, I see it, but I'm not like mind blown by it.
So let's spend the rest of the time talking about what you like talking about.
I don't know. I like talking about tons of stuff. We could talk about Trump if Trump had some exciting shit going on.
But I can't go too far into it though.
No,
we could talk
you
about
can
whatever's
go
on
far.
the news.
You can go far into it, but your far always ends up with the Federal Reserve and da 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 and stuff like that. And guess what? I don't really speak that language that much, so that's why for me, I can't really engage in those conversations, because I don't know anything about that world. You're the one who literally researched your fucking penis off and, have a tons of insight and understanding of that. I don't. So you're talking to someone who really doesn't understand and doesn't really is not really interested so much in those types of conversations. I just want I feel like I have to defend the things I like talking about, when I'm like, I shouldn't have to do that.
Well, that's how I feel too.
No, because guess what? You can talk about what you want to talk about with other people, but you always want to talk about it with me.
So then why do you feel like you need to defend? I feel like I need to defend because I'm like,
because you're always like, well, then you don't want to talk about anything.
You're
and I'm
saying
like,
it's
I
like
have
a bad.
lots of things.
I know you already said it's not a bad thing, but the way that you act is like it is. It's like
it's
an annoying
not a bad thing. It's a great thing. It becomes an annoying thing when you always want to do that with me, and and it's something that I really don't want to do. We're two different people. We do not have to be the same or like and talk about the
Yeah, but
same
you
things
you
all the
do
time.
have to have like a fluency with communication, right? So like
I
if
think we do. I
if
think we talk a lot about UFC. We talk a lot about family. That's for sure. You ask me lots of questions about family stuff, whether it be alcoholism, addiction, stuff like that. I love talking about stuff like that. We talk about codependent. We talk about anything like mental health. I feel like we definitely talk a lot about stuff like that. I'm into that stuff.
right, because that's your world, right? So like
But it's also
so
like that's also life stuff.
yeah, so that's me catering to
Wait.
your
Wait, but that's
understandings of
life
things.
stuff. So you don't enjoy talking about
I
stuff
do
like that, like
enjoy
mental
talking.
health and stuff like
I
that?
do, but like if that's like why is that the only thing? I mean,
It's not. I also like talking about UFC. I also like talking about, I don't know, some crazy thing that someone did in the world that I think is like insane, like some mind blowing. I also like
well,
talking
that
about just
all I'm
random,
saying
like,
now is you got me like in thinking about like, okay, well, I have to think about this particular topic and how I talk about
no,
that
how
every
about
time I bring it up. And
no, you could,
when I'm just
you,
coming off the top of my head, when you
I
two
know
come off of,
that. And I enjoy that you do that. But whenever
so
I
what are you
tell
gonna
you
just
that
tell
I
me to
don't
shut
want to,
up or
whenever
what?
I tell you that maybe like, hey, like, or whenever I like don't want to engage, you always like get butthurt about it. And I'm like, I just like, it's just not my thing. You want me to get so excited about these conversations, and I'm not as excited about it. I don't think that's a bad thing.
I don't want you to get excited. I just want to
Well,
have
then
a
what?
fucking conversation.
Well, I definitely was not excited about the quantum physics conversation or whatever the fuck that was. The damn waves and this and atoms, electrons. Don't talk to me about that. No, no one ever talked to me about that.
Because you just
I'm
get
not into that.
like if you just
It
like
overwhelms
watch
me.
it. Yeah,
It
why?
overwhelms me. Like honestly, I
That's
had
an
so much
issue.
anxiety. Well, it is, but maybe it's
You
like
can't. It was
I wish
literally. Hold on, guys. It was literally an animated cartoon.
it
That
was
the
the
video was
worst
4 minutes
animated.
long,
It was 5 minutes and change.
or
It was
whatever.
the worst animated video I think I've ever seen. It was like
Whatever.
so
Now
not well
you're just
done. So I
making
couldn't even
excuses.
really like I was like this guy's voice is like
Just
bothering
making
me
excuses.
number one. And then he's talking about like stuff that again, I'm not into. That stuff stresses me out. I was never like
Right.
really great at stuff like
Well,
that in
listen.
school.
If
And I
you
think maybe it brought back that. It like literally overwhelmed me.
if you showed
Plus
me
I was high, so I was just kind of
if
like,
you
"Wah,
if
this
you
is too
show me
much."
something that I off the cuff, I'm not expecting anything. You're saying, hey Joe, like in 10 minutes, can we sit down? I want to show you something. So when in that 10 minutes, or it was actually more time than that I had asked you to watch this, right? In that time, then you're like getting rid of all these preconceived notions because I'm like prepping you, right? That's how it should be.
You know who I wish we can call right now is Melissa because I feel
Now
like this
Melissa's
would be
gonna
a
shit all over.
great.
You know who we should
I
call? We should
feel
call David
we
because
should
then he'll just
actually we should though because what I was thinking about last night and
watch. I'm gonna send him a thing
David
right now.
is Joe's only friend who actually can talk about all these like things with him, right?
I'll send it right now.
The reason why I think we should talk to David is actually because David does have the ability to switch on and switch off. I actually like he does. Way more so than you. And he's told you that that's one of your issues, that you're so like intense all that where he is intense, but he can tap it off.
Doesn't like to though.
But he can. And
I
he's okay
can
with
too.
it.
It's fucking boring.
And he's okay with it though. It's not like he's bored by it. If he was so bored by it, he wouldn't be, I don't know, I guess married to his wife. Like they do things together. They watch documentaries, they watch movies, they watch shows, they watch like tons of things. You don't even like
They
do any
literally
of those
live the
things.
same life that we live. They're
Yes,
the
no,
same
but
people as us.
he's more flexible than you are.
No, he comes across more
He's way
flexible.
more flexible.
Trust me.
He's
The
way more
conversations I've had, he comes across more
he
flexible.
I believe he's way more
I
flexible
think
than you.
he may internalize a little bit more than me.
I
I just
believe he's
everything.
way
I'm
more
out on the
flexible.
table. He's willing to just suppress some
I think
stuff.
you're more rigid than he is, which again that's a word that's come up with you. I think he's more rigid than you're more rigid than he is and he's more flexible.
You know what we should talk about right now because we
Mm.
have couples therapy after this, right?
Right.
We should talk about things that we need to talk about. This is obviously one of them.
Well, we already know we have to talk about it in couples therapy.
Nah, it's like they come up during the week and then I forget. And
Oh,
then,
I
like,
didn't
I've been
forget.
taking notes and stuff
I'm
like
already.
that.
Yeah, I didn't forget.
You're good.
Yeah.
Oh, you were gonna bring up a bunch of shit. You got a whole list of shit.
I don't have a whole list. I feel like one thing can literally we could spend a whole 50, 60 minutes on it, you know? Like,
An hour is not long enough for couples therapy.
No, that's why typically I usually will always go over when I myself am doing couples therapy with someone. Like I always go over. An hour's not enough time. You
It's
have
like,
two
yeah,
people in the room. Anytime that there's two people or more in a room, the session should be actually like doubled.
yeah, it should be
Like
like
it
an hour apiece.
really, yeah, it should be like right. So that should be a 2-hour session for two people because now you're getting absolutely. That's what I always thought.
Should be. I mean, 2 hours minimum, I think.
And then some therapists aren't even doing 60 full minutes. They'll do like only 45. And I'm like, 45? I just literally started speaking,
Yeah,
like
you
really
don't get
getting into
anything
like,
exactly. You don't get anything resolved.
it's nothing.
Like you got to go in there like knowing you got to have fucking notes and shit and bring up the topics, but don't fully speak about them. Just say this,
Yeah.
this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Okay, go. Now you go. Now it's my turn. Okay, we're done.
Totally.
It's
Totally.
fucking annoying.
Totally.
Can we extend that time? Can we do that?
No,
Now?
insurance won't. If it's under insurance, no. If
It's
it's
on.
self-pay, I'm sure self-pay, they'll be like, sure, you want to do 2 hours? Then pay
Maybe
the
we can work
self-pay
something
rate.
out. Or we do the insurance, and then for the second hour we self-pay, but maybe we get like a discount or something.
I mean, we could do that. I just don't know when we'd fit that in. It was already difficult to fit in this
Yeah,
hour in
true.
our schedule.
That's true. It'd be the weekend, but she doesn't work on the weekend, right?
Rightfully so. Good for her.
Lame.
So what's up? What do you want to get into? What topic? I mean,
don't
you're always following the world.
fucking know.
You're following the world, the
Well, there's
news.
all kinds of things, but I'm fucking skeptical to bring them up because you're just like
We're
gonna
on a
be like
podcast
bored
right
with
now.
it.
This is what we This is what we do
Fucking
on this podcast.
boring.
We talk about these things. Yes, go ahead.
Well, there's been some banking things going on.
Banking.
Yeah, like banks shutting down. Remember,
Oh, I
like
did actually
2008.
in Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah. So it's like no, see, just as I'm talking about my watch being fucking working. So.
In Silicon Valley, why'd they shut that bank down? What was
Well,
the
it
whole
didn't
thing?
shut down. They fucking were insolvent. So like people were taking their money out and they didn't have enough money to
To
fulfill
fulfill
the withdrawals,
yeah.
which is, pretty common. Most banks don't actually have the money for everybody to withdraw at the same time. I'd say
No,
every
that's a
single
small
bank.
That was a small bank,
No, it
though,
was
right?
huge.
Oh,
That was the I believe it was the second largest bank.
what?
Yeah, something like that. Because they gave out all the loans for all like the Silicon Valley like startups
For
and
all the
shit.
startups.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
would really love that show on HBO called Silicon Valley. It's all about all that tech stuff, but it's so fucking good and it's hysterical.
It's not real though.
I mean, it's a show, so no, but I feel like it's based off of what may go down in the world of Silicon Valley. Right? These startups happen in people's garages, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where they're doing everything. And then, it just takes someone to, see the app they created or whatever. And then someone sees and somebody else sees it. And then Google's like, oh my God. And then Twitter and everyone's like, oh my God. And then they're billionaires.
Right. Yeah. It just happens that easy. Well, the whole point of this is of bringing this up is that so the bank basically in 24 hours they like basically lost all their money in the stock market, the shares. It collapsed completely, right? And then that happened on like a Thursday or a Friday. No, it was a Thursday into Friday. So then over the weekend, the government, FDIC, the
Yes,
insurance,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So they normally insure up to what, 250,000, right? So what they did was they bumped that up into unlimited. So basically, anybody who had deposited any money in that bank was taken care of. So basically by Monday, people already heard this. So people didn't withdraw their money because they knew it was secure, and the bank did not fully collapse, right?
Mm.
So and then that money, where does that money come from? That comes from you. Because the Federal Reserve just makes it out of thin air and they say, oh, we're just going to give it to these people. And then they call it they're saying it's not a bailout, but it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what's
a bailout? I don't know certain terms.
2008 bailouts where basically the government just made money out of thin air and just gave it to the banks so they didn't collapse.
Okay.
Such as Goldman Sachs. And
Okay.
right? And now those banks are still around and basically they're never going to fail because the government just They can make what so and then it makes the banks able to do risky things because they know that the government's just gonna like flood them with money.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's this whole thing. Yeah, but that's a little deep. But that's going on. If you're not aware of that, there was
Now,
also another bank, Signature Bank, too.
and that affects us,
Everyone,
right?
yes.
How so?
Well, when the Federal Reserve is creating more money on a computer and divvying it out to whoever the fuck they want, that is
Oh,
inflation.
inflation. Right,
That
right, right, right,
literally
right.
is inflation. The creation of money is inflation. That's the definition.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's not going to help anything that's going on right now.
However, things I feel like prices have dropped. Didn't we notice that the other day?
We thought that with like groceries, but then now I'm starting to think like we're just not getting enough stuff because it hasn't even been a week since we were grocery shopping, and I already feel like we don't have like a lot of shit.
Yeah, okay.
So I think we just been feeling like we're getting enough for 2 weeks because we usually shop in like the 2 week
Right, right,
increments,
right.
but we're really only getting enough for like 1 week.
Now, just side note this for a second. There's another thing that we were talking about that, but I forgot what it was based on. Oh, the Twitter files still. And oh no, it was the Twitter files and the whole mothership thing. So
Yeah,
so there was a
that's
mothership,
true. No,
right?
no, no. I mean,
What happened with that?
well, the Pentagon put out documentation and made statements saying that there's a possibility that there's a mothership in our solar system sending other ships to America. I mean,
Right,
Earth.
to the earth. Now,
The Pentagon said this. I'm not saying this. I'm not a fucking crazy person.
I
I didn't just
know,
like
and
come up with
now
this on my head.
what's so crazy? I think also probably why I tap out with like stuff like this in terms of conversations wise, is because I feel like there's only but so far I can go with it. And what I mean by that is here we are, right? The Pentagon had released a statement or whatever, a possible mothership, blah blah blah, right? All this big stuff going on. So then I take it upon myself to like, I'm like, what news stations was this on? Because I feel like if this is the case, this should be on like plastered over like,
Hmm.
front page of so many news things. So I go online, I Google, nothing on anyone's first pages, like nothing. I go to all the news sources, right? There's nothing. Then I have to literally go to the search icon, right? In each news thing and search mothership, and then it pops up. And I'm like, "You mean to tell me, like, I feel like this is crazy. This is, like, wild that this is even happening, but yet no news sources are talking about it like it's a big deal." I had to search it on each news
It really is
website.
crazy now.
So, I think because it's so crazy that these things are happening, but no one's talking about it, I feel like I can't engage a lot of like
Oops.
or I feel like I can't give a lot of energy to these conversations because it will never go anywhere. Nothing will ever happen. The news will never fucking broadcast stuff that is being talked about that's a big deal. It's always going to have its own narrative. The world is controlled by a lot of fucking other things. And so because it's bigger than me, I choose to not invest
Mm.
and give so much of my mental energy into conversations that I believe have a dead end.
Which actually is probably a good way to think about
I
it.
think that was a better way of me explaining why it is that I don't talk to you about certain things. That's why. Because I feel like a lot of the things that you talk about don't have an actual ending. Like
Well,
I can't do anything
I
about
think
it.
they don't have like an immediate direct impact on your life, right?
Well, no. It's not even that. It's that it's not us talking about it isn't going to go anywhere. It's not going to do anything. I'm fully convinced that now because we are controlled by higher
Well, we're
beings,
not though.
okay?
That's not necessarily
But we are though. Other people and things control the narratives and control everything in this fucking world. To me, there's no point of giving my time and energy to talk about something that where there's never going to be an end to. It's just not. Yes, sweetie. Oh, we're interrupted by our little. So, Olivia, pitter patter.
true. What did you have to do? You went to NBC.
I went to NBC, right? And then it's not going to be on their front page, that's for sure, anywhere. And you're going to have to go to the search icon and literally search it. Because if you don't do that, it's nowhere.
So aren't your feet cold? What's going on?
Nothing. You stepped on something? Where's my phone? All right. Are you still going to use it? Yeah.
Wait,
Okay. Let me see your foot. You stepped on
okay, so
something.
I'm gonna search this so I can pull it up on there.
No. I know. I got it. Okay. Now you can go back and play and go onto baby YouTube.
Oh shit, they even have like pictures of this shit. Hold on.
Is that on? That's on ABC News, right?
This is on NBC.
NBC News, people. To the people out there,
Yeah.
the Meltons. That's my dad. Okay, like it's not on a reliable news source.
NBC News. UFO mothership claim near space station reflects badly.
What is that?
Has the International Space Station inadvertently caught sight of an interstellar space station hovering nearby? Or is it a blurry streak of
they're
that?
Right. So they're saying, so the first thing that came out about this was not this. When was this? Because now what they're trying to do is they're trying to doubt it.
Oh.
They're trying to negate it.
Hold on, this is like fucking 2012.
Okay, yeah, because they're negating that. So that's old.
All right. Let's go back. So this is all sort by.
Anyway, so that's why I'm actually glad that I got to that thought, because that's exactly why it is that I feel that it's so ridiculous and silly to talk about things that no one can really do anything about. So for me, it's like a pointless conversation. I would much rather be a part of conversations where I feel like we can do things about mental health. We can do something about that. Like long-term but like we can still do something about that. But when we're talking about the fucking Federal Reserve, when we're talking about even the Twitter things coming out and how people can literally like they should be like held like accountable and all this stuff for like all these confidential things getting let out and manipulation and all this fucked up shit.
No.
Guess what? I'd rather not talk about it because it's just going to continue to happen because that's the world that we live in and there's nothing that anybody can fucking do about it. That's where I'm at.
Well,
we can't. There's nothing. Who's going to do? Who's going?
Babe,
because that means that you have to take down.
Stop. You're right. Not one of us are going to do anything directly about it, right? You're right, and this is where it gets. This is actually a good conversation, right?
This is why.
This is. Hold on, listen.
And I'm not even saying one of us. I'm saying even if 1 million people came
we'll
together.
Play this in a second.
1 million people got together and freaking, I don't know, protest. I don't even know what you would do. I feel like the only thing to do would be
this is why you're not going to be the leader of it.
But like, I feel. Well, then we need a Martin Luther King. I don't know.
UFO Martin Luther King.
We need someone who's like. But guess what? Someone's gonna fucking murder him. I'm sorry to say.
Jeremy Corbell. He's already out there. The guy that wrote.
Okay, and I guarantee you, what's gonna happen is someone's gonna set him up for something. He's gonna be held in. Imprisoned in Russia.
No,
okay,
you're behind on everything because they want everybody. This is the weird thing in the conspiracy world or whatever. Everybody's like, why the fuck during COVID did the government put out all these censored documents all of a sudden about UFOs and all this other stuff, and now all of a sudden they're admitting that UFOs exist and they don't know what they are. They're already admitting this. You're in agreement with this, right? Agreement.
I guess, but they're not talking about it.
No, they are. They just don't. They just act like they're just like, well, they're there. We don't know what it is. That's more than what they've ever said in the past freaking 100 years.
I would love to see a news channel that is like live on news, like an MSNBC, and I would love to see the people running the news even mention this mothership thing. I would love to see the news that my dad watches.
Are you ready?
Yes. What news station is this though?
This is NBC.
This is the nightly news.
This is the fucking NBC News. Okay. Ready?
Move over, Chinese spy balloon, or whatever else U.S. fighter jet shot down last month. Tonight, out of Harvard University, a draft paper about mysterious flying objects sounding almost like science fiction.
I think it's very likely that we are not the most intelligent civilization that ever existed.
Renowned Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb teaming up with the new head of the Pentagon's UFO office, dubbed the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Together, they say that interstellar objects detected in space could be signs of extraterrestrial life, and that current sky mapping technology, like the James Webb Space Telescope, could miss such objects.
It could have been a mother ship that released some probes in the habitable region around the sun. If we have a visitor to our backyard, we should observe it at first.
Professor Loeb now leading the charge to build better arrays of sensors to capture anomalies, but saying for now everything is hypothetical, and his paper is really meant to remind...
Hold on, guys. I need to replay this because somebody was not even paying attention. The one, Aaliyah, the person I'm playing this for, because she doesn't believe any of this.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a 3-year-old
Right.
who we have no babysitter for.
She's just wandering around the house while we're doing this. Okay, so I'm going back a little bit, right? Sorry, guys.
UFO office, dubbed the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution.
Hold on, even further than that, because you need the authority figure.
Civilization that ever existed.
Renowned Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb teaming up with the new head of the Pentagon's UFO office, dubbed the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Together, they say that interstellar objects detected in space could be signs of extraterrestrial life, and that current sky mapping technology, like the James Webb Space Telescope, could miss such objects.
It could have been a mother ship that released some probes in the habitable region around the sun. If we have a visitor to our backyard, we should observe it at first.
Professor Loeb now leading the charge to build better arrays of sensors to capture anomalies, but saying for now everything is hypothetical. And his paper is really meant to remind UFO hunters not to forget the laws of physics.
As much as the reports from military personnel are intriguing and motivate my work right now, I want my instruments to tell me what is really happening.
Meanwhile, more videos surfacing showing odd objects have been leaked to documentary UFO filmmaker Jeremy Corbell, who recently released pictures of an orb shape over Mosul, and these images showing a cylinder flying over a rock. The Pentagon not commenting on the recent videos, but confirming prior videos released by Corbell had been filmed by service members. As for what they are, definitive explanations remain out of reach. Matty Schwartz, NBC News.
So they still do keep it...
They keep it very light.
Yeah. So but they did have some admissions in that, I believe, that there is something going on out there.
I know,
they're trying to figure out what
that.
it is.
Yes, I know that. But you know the news as well as I do. Fine, great. I'm glad NBC News put that story out. I'm glad it was done very, very lightly. It was probably the only story that they touched on, right? And then guess what? Now it's just going to be swept under the bed. They're not going to talk about it anymore until obviously, I guess they have more information. And even then, they're probably not going to really, really, really talk about it. And they're going to continue to, talk about all the other fucking stupid shit that's going on in the world, and everyone's going to be all caught up in that.
Okay.
Instead.
But all right, so getting back to what you're talking about, like the overwhelming, you can't do anything about it, right? That's with a lot of things, and that's exactly how any larger power over people would want it to be. They don't want anybody to feel like they have any power to do anything, right? So that's great for them, the government or whoever else, deep state, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? But there is something that we can do. And just us like talking about this right now, and then our viewers, maybe one of them talks about it to somebody else. That's it. That's that we're doing our part. That's it. And I'm not talking like the UFO thing is like minimal. Like that's like way big, right? So like who cares? But there's a lot of other things that we do talk about that seem overwhelming, but our job as individuals is just to communicate, right? And if it's a truth, if it's a real truth, that truth will spread through individuals word of mouth down the road, right? And that's it. So instead of thinking like, oh my God, there's nothing I could do about fucking the Federal Reserve, you could just have a conversation with one or
And
two
so,
people.
okay, and so I hear you. That makes sense to me. But again, for me, I feel like those conversations, even with having them, are still limited conversations. You will still hit a wall. Or else all you end up doing is talking in circles about the same thing over and over and over. And I am not a person that really enjoys talking in circles. If I'm going to speak, I don't want to speak about something that's going like this. I want to speak about something that's going
Solutions,
like
is that what you're talking
this.
about?
Yes, like I want to
Okay.
move forward.
So
I don't like talking in circle.
So you don't
And
have
when
to
it
talk in
comes
circles.
to the Federal Reserve, when it comes to UFOs, when it comes to certain things in life out there, even the Twitter files, I feel like what ends up happening is I end up talking in circles with people, especially you. And that's why with you
What do you
sometimes
mean?
I'm like, you've already talked about this, Joe. We talked about this the other day. You're
What?
saying the same
I
thing.
don't understand the circle. Like
The
like
circle
you can
means that
have a
there's
solution
no,
and then you put the solution out there to the world and then you move on.
but you don't.
What do you mean I don't?
Okay, so when it comes to the Federal Reserve, we'll say,
Mhm.
and all that money,
Mhm.
what's the solution?
Solution is we get some sort of president and a Congress in there that actually understands how the money system works.
Okay.
They abolish the Federal Reserve
Okay.
and they reinstate the dollar and wipe out all debt.
Okay. Bam. Now you said the solution, right?
All right, but I mean,
Now we're going to move on to
but you
something
can't
else.
just say it once on one podcast. You have to like continuously put it out there. Or it's like, how does that catch on? Like, unless this one video like caught fire and like 2 million people fucking watched it, okay, then yeah. But otherwise, you're just living your life and having conversations. And like, if you talk to one person, maybe they're not aware of it. It's the awareness. It's
Yeah,
like,
I
and this is how you
understand.
change culture.
I understand that. But again, I feel like even just that, okay, we're going to talk about the Federal Reserve, talk about the solution, and then go. I feel like that literally only has an investment in terms of energy being spent on it of maybe max 10 minutes.
Well, that's you, I guess. You know,
10
I mean,
minutes
like,
max.
I try to. You're right. There's certain people that do different things. They put more effort into things. They have more. They feel like. I guess I'm speaking about myself. I feel this innate need to better society somehow, make some tiny impact. And I'm not saying I'm going to be president or I'm going to be, you know, a congressman or whatever. Although I have run for state senate and state Congress. But you know, I'm not saying that. And even at that level, that's not even like doing everything you can do. But I just want to like make some sort of impact. Like at the end of the day, when I'm like 90 years old and on my deathbed, I want my daughter to be like, wow, dad, he lived a life of like trying to shift culture in a certain direction. He lived a life.
Okay.
And that's just me. And I'm not saying everybody lives like that. There's not a lot of people actually that do live like that, I guess. But you know, that's how you change culture. Culture takes a long time to shift,
No,
especially.
I understand that.
So you have to have conversations over and over and over again about the same types of
again, I
topics.
get that, but I just feel like the conversations to those situations that have a bigger, thing to really kind of do with it or whatever, like a bigger change, or it takes a lot of time, or if it even ever changes, those conversations, again, I feel like the investment of them just to get it out, have people hear it, talk about it is like 10, 15 minutes, because there's no
Over a lifetime, total 15
no, like each time it's talked about. So like, for example, let's say you bring it up in this podcast and we talk about it in next podcast, 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's nowhere else to go after it.
They're
Like,
actually
like
incredibly.
it's like, okay, like I do what I do. I say what I say. Here's the solution. And then bam, there's nothing more to really go on with this situation. Now, some people, I guess, can continue to have conversations about it. But for me, those conversations sound like they're going in circles because it's the same thing over and over again, which is fine. That's great. People want to have those kind of conversations. I don't like having conversations in circles. I'm a solution focused.
Well,
and again, everyone's brain is different.
yeah,
It's
I mean,
I'm
I
just
don't like the
talking
way that
about-
you're describing it, because you're saying it's not solution focused. But I mean, some people
So-
are like, just like, oh, the world, the government's
so
gonna
I'm
fuck us
looking.
over.
So my
Yeah, that's
brain is more
circles.
of like, okay, like, so this is what. So for example, when we talk about mental health, I could talk about that for days, because for me, there are things that actually people can truly, like, really start doing to actually make more
is too.
more immediate change.
What we're talking about is also the same thing.
Immediate change?
Yes, because it's just the amount of people, though. That's the problem, and that's where it gets overwhelming with you, because it has to be a certain amount of people to shift culture, right? It's got to be over like 50% to like be on the same wavelength. Like, why do you think trends happen? Why do you think people like start thinking one way as opposed to another way? You know, like right now, the Twitter files, we'll go back to that,
that's
right?
also because the world is also, there's things being injected into society.
Well,
and
there's the
into all of us that
manipulation of
basically-
things
yeah.
through media. Yes, that's how they.
That I
so now
know.
you're seeing how they control.
No,
right?
but that I know. I've
So-
been known that.
Okay, but take like Twitter files, for example, right? A few months ago, people weren't even paying attention. Now it's being forced into the media and the public because Congress is having, they're having.
I still see no one
what do you
talking
call
about
it?
hear no one talking about it.
Hearings. They're having hearings about it. Well, those are on. You can find those on YouTube or wherever on the news. But yes, it's minimalized. You know why? Because it's being manipulated, right?
Yes,
by
I
the
know
media.
that. This is
so.
why, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when you do go down that rabbit hole and you do read and listen to all these like Twitter files, like you can't go back. You're like, holy shit! Like the fucking FBI was in direct contact with fucking Twitter.
I know that,
right?
But
So
do you know why a lot of people aren't going to read that stuff?
What? What do you mean?
A lot of people aren't going to go in and read all, like, for like a Melton, for example, right? Which I feel like a Melton is a large percent of the population.
All right, you're bringing up a great point, right? This is the exact reason why people like me and people that have the energy have to keep talking about it over and over again for people like a Milton who are not going to do the work.
So this is great. So here we go. So we just found a solution in terms of this. So whereas you then want to be that person and like being that person,
And
that's
you don't.
great.
I know.
I'm happy for you about that. I married you knowing that. That's wonderful. I am not that person. I
Well,
like
I
to
know
talk
that.
about other things. We could talk about, okay, right, like I said, life, relationships, marriage, parenting, mental health, da 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 da. Let's go all day long. It's my jam. But talking about some other stuff that I feel like is just like really like just it's a lot. It's on a bigger, enormous scale. I'm like, it's just overwhelming, which is why I think it's great that in this world we have some people who do like to do that, like yourself,
Right.
and some people who don't.
Well,
It's great.
That's just, I get it.
Like,
And
I'll never be a Martin Luther King. It's not my thing. But
I
I'm
mean-
glad that there are some people in the world who can be.
Listen, I understand the overwhelmingness. It is overwhelming, right? And that's how they want it to be. You know, so like that's why I just say, hey, I'm having this conversation with this one person, and that's good enough. I don't say, I need to do something about the fucking Federal Reserve. Because I know that like me as an individual has like very minimal power to do any of that. So it's the awareness. I'm spreading awareness of these types of topics.
That's
and
great.
That's the best I can do. If one person hears it, I've done my job.
That's great.
That's it. That's all I care about. All right. So we probably got to get going here in a minute, but I did want to say, and big shout out to our poor puppy who died last week, which is why we've been kind of slacking on the podcast. It was a big thing.
That's also why I'm probably on edge too, as well. That's been a lot. I'm like grieving tremendously. So
yeah, he had he was 11 years old, and you know, he had some what was the thing? What was it? I can't even remember. Can't think. Kidney
disease.
Kidney issues. Yeah, and it just ramped up, and it just over a weekend, it just happened. So
you'll actually hear Euro if you go into like our season 1.
You can probably see him
and the beginning of
He's
season
been in
2. I'm sure you'll hear him. He's been in a lot of our podcasts, making a special appearance.
Yeah, so we're sending big love out to Euro. You know, he had a great life, and we miss his interrupting our podcast, even though we hated it at the time.
Right.
So, yep. And I guess that's it. That was like, I have to like regroup on this podcast, or
What do you
not
mean?
regroup.
Regroup?
What do I always do? Recap.
Recap?
The podcast.
Oh, that was a
It was
decent, that was an okay podcast.
It was a chaotic podcast. We were all over the place. It's like we
This is-
haven't done this in a
We
while,
haven't done
I
this in a
feel.
while. This is our first podcast since Euro has died, and we had to put him down. And I'm still not 100% at all over it. We're both grieving in different ways, so it's like it's still a tough.
Yeah. Yep. So we should end it on a more happier note.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think we need to do a little bit more preparation on these podcasts moving forward, because we've been free flowing for a long time and it's going
Years.
okay, but like
Free flowing for years.
there was a time where we started to have a couple topics going into it, and I think we need to go back to that. We just need like a couple topics, because then
Yeah, I just think that again, I just think with life, we just like, and also I think that we've just been busy, and it's like, we're always trying to like shove this in at like any point during the week, and then I'm just like, you're doing stuff, you're parenting, I'm working, I'm not like, it's just a lot. It's a lot. I definitely give props to people who have like really successful podcasts, because that I'm sure took a lot of work to really get there.
Well, we're doing the work. We're doing it right now.
No, I know, but like, especially if they have kids and like, and if you don't have anyone to watch your kid, it's a
Yeah, we have a 3-year-old just running around the house right now. We have no idea what she's doing.
Yeah, it's a huge like dedication for sure, and a big investment. So if you're thinking about doing a podcast, highly just make sure that you think about that, because it's like a big investment.
That's the advice from a woman who gets very easily overwhelmed with the topics.
I don't get overwhelmed with the topics. Again, I don't like topics that just go in circles.
You could also put the podcast, doing the podcast topic in this realm of, it's an hour a week of your life.
Yeah, which is like nothing, but clearly we don't prepare for this, which makes it easier. I think that if we actually prepared, it'd probably be a little bit more. Like if we really prepared, like if we really
I think it would
actually
be easier.
did like,
I think it would be easier.
No, but it's more time.
If we did prep work.
It's more investment.
More prep
because
work,
now you're prepping, you gotta research stuff, go through that. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole nine. We don't do any of that. We just kind of come in here.
Like,
and
I kind of like
it
though. Like we're on the flight, like we just brought up that mothership shit, but
mothership shit.
The mothership. Well, it's out there, you got to look for it. It's happening. There's a lot. Oh yeah, that was the last thing. Last night I brought up like how I feel like I have this inner need of like this energy when the world is kind of in crisis mode. I have this need to keep like wanting to put out information and talk and have these conversations and stuff. And I think that is what comes off as intense, because when me and Aaliyah first met, there wasn't a lot. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. There wasn't a lot of like chaotic shit going on in the world.
But I don't think it's just the world. I also think a lot of it is the world and your own life.
Well, it's both.
Yeah, it's definitely both. I mean, it's a huge difference. It's so crazy, like how we evolve, like, because I'm so aware now and just like conscious of like everything, and I consciously do things like, from this like purposeful place and very, present. I really like see the evolution of things even as it's happening. But it's so wild. Like when I think back, even just to like when we first met, just to now, I'm like, oh my God, it's so insane how like, and I'm sure lots of couples can like, testify to this, or lots of people who are married or whatever. It's like, you first meet someone, it's like, years ago, when your lives were different, like your lives were different. Maybe they were actually more difficult than maybe what it ended up being years later, or maybe they were a lot easier and then they ended up being more, it's like everyone can start and meet at different places of their life. But I feel like for us, we met at a point where in your life was easy breezy, beautiful, cover girl. And my life in my mind was very easy breezy, beautiful, cover girl, because I was just like single, just living the life in South Florida, having a blast. And we lived in Miami, 2-story condo in a penthouse, boutique building on the water, and everything was lavish and great. And it's like we had literally no care in the world. To now, today, there's so much to care about, and there's so much, and we're and you're in such a different place in terms of like, life isn't so easy breezy, beautiful, cover girl anymore. And I think that has a lot to do with the changes in a relationship as well, because I think through those changes, people change. Certain characteristics either change or come and go, or new ones come in, or this or that. And it's all depending on really what's going on in life and how life is evolving in that individual's life as well. And so it's just so interesting. And when I think about relationships that last for like 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, I'm even more mind blown in a really fascinated way by it, because I'm like, to be together for 50 years, 20 years, 30 years, and we've only been together for 5, and we've already gone through, so many different, ebbs and flows and ups and downs in our relationship. I'm like, holy shit, that means that we got to do this for fucking God knows how much longer. And then you have to keep getting through it and then coming together and then evolving again. And it's like,
it gets easier though.
I don't know. I think there's always like, I mean, like my aunt and uncle, like my uncle who passed away, like they've been married prior to him passing away. They were married for like 30 something, 40 something years. And in their older ages, actually before he passed, like I probably like a year, maybe 2 years before he passed, they were in couples therapy, because a lot of just other. So it's always something. Life is always changing, and you're always going to have these ups and downs. And it's really, and people are going to change, and it's really about how do you come together and stay together and continue to walk through it forward together. And that is so like what I'm finding extremely. It's more difficult than I thought. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think the key is the taking time out to be aware of yourself and your surroundings, of your relationships and stuff. Like, if you, whether it's meditation or just like taking a moment of like to reflect on what's going on, if you never do that, you're just in your own lane and you're not like paying attention to like because we're always like that. We are all in our own lane doing things, but like you got to put on the brakes for a second, evaluate. You should do this like a couple times a week. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not, you and your spouse should be kind of, I've always said like going on the same escalator. I think I said this to you last week, right?
But you're never going to be
on 2 escalators.
but you're never going to be at the same.
Well, you're trying to be, right? But like sometimes this escalator goes a little faster, and then like
right.
Like,
yeah,
hey, what's going on up there? And then you have the conversation.
Yeah, and then you
like, oh, here I am. Oh,
or one person is
or
held
backs
back,
up, and you gotta like come back. You gotta slow down,
it's a constant,
and catch up.
Yeah, it's just.
But it's constant attention and awareness, and that's why I think like couples therapy actually helps a lot of people out, because it's purposeful. You're taking a time, an hour, hopefully more if you can get it, and you're talking about things, you're catching up on things, you're catching up on each other, and it's very important. And I've really taken this to heart over the past week or so, and I've been meditating every day now. I'm trying to go to the gym more and just take that time. And I feel like it's working. At least I feel better, and I hope like it's gonna help our communication and where we're at right now.
Yeah, I think that's really kind of the focus. A lot of like the things that I enjoy talking about now is that stuff like that. How it's just so like And like, even just for myself individually, I feel like I'm at such a different, like, I'm in a weird place right now in my life. I can't really explain it because I'm still trying to figure it out. But like, I don't know, like I'm 41. I, have this like great life. I have this great house, got a great kid, got a great husband, everything's great. But yet I'm still like, oh God, like there's something that I don't know what it is. I was talking about the other day and I'm like, I don't know what it is. It's like there's a part of me that's like not like as motivated as I would used to be, or I feel like I need some kind of like serious, like a different direction in my life, whether it be with my career or I don't know what it is, but something is really like,
Well,
and I don't know the space that I'm in. I'm not sure if this is a common, but I feel like it's pretty common. So I'm just gonna just kind of make myself feel better about that. I feel like a lot of people maybe go through something like this, especially in the middle ages of life or whatever. And
well, numerologically, you're going through a transition from one challenge into another challenge. Like, so
oh,
that's always
so yeah,
that's always a shift.
I
It's like
feel
a year.
so weird. I don't feel myself. It's really weird. Like I don't feel like I'm like, okay, like I know I'm me and I know this is this and things are changing and evolving, but it's like it's like I want to just like I want to do things that I'm not able to do. Like I just like constantly want to just be somewhere else. Like I want to go on vacation. I want to go on a cruise. I want to go here. I want to go to Fort Lauderdale and go to the Cure concert. I want to go here. I want to go to Bad Bunny. I'm constantly right now. I just want to do so many different things. I just want to do everything, but like here, but like
Actual work.
right. Like I just want to like, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta like
Well,
really.
I've been saying this for years with you. If there's something, and I don't know what it is, but there's a level of like avoidance within you for certain things and some
Well, that's the
parts of
thing
your
though, is
life,
that
and I don't know what
as
it is.
I don't really I don't see myself as avoidant in this point in my life because I actually feel like I'm pretty like one, I'm really aware of what's
Well,
happening.
when you want to like go do all these different things and whatever, it's like you're almost like you're running away from
Right,
something,
exactly. Yeah, it's me running.
which is an avoidance
Wanting
thing.
right, but that's the thing is that I'm going to separate those two words because I don't really see it so much as me being avoidant as really just me wanting to run. And I think what I'm wanting to run from is just like this, like again, like I sit here and
Stress, like
I'm like, everything in my life is fucking great. And maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe I'm like,
that is your thing. I forgot
yeah,
about that.
yeah,
Yeah, when we first
everything in
met, that
my
was
life is great. I have nothing to really, well, the one
it's
thing
not.
is really just the conflict just between you and I,
Yeah, but
and like our
you would think
just
that would make you want that's the trigger to bring you back, right?
well,
It should be, but it's not. You want to run from that too.
now I'm kind of wondering that if maybe, and I'm not saying the whole thing, so don't make it seem as I say this, make sure that you know that I'm not taking it off of you and I'm not saying that you have no issues and that you don't have any part in this, okay? Because you absolutely do. But what I'm saying is I think that there's a part of me as I'm processing this out loud. See, because what the word avoid is not sitting well with me, but the
Mm.
word run away does. That sits well with me for what I'm wanting to do because I'm wanting to just leave. I want to go here and go there and go there. And again, there's nothing shitty in my life. Everything, hold on, let me
Yeah.
finish this thought. Everything is great, great. Everything's great. Everything's great. Everything's great. I'm wondering if a little bit of what I'm doing that's contributing to the conflict between you and I is self fucking sabotage. And I'm wondering
Well,
if
that's what we talked about in the last podcast, right?
is that
Yeah,
I don't remember
self-imposed
self-imposed thoughts, right? But I want to use the word like
conflict, self-imposed
self-sabotage. I
conflict.
think that the self-imposed conflict is
Isn't
me.
that the same thing?
No,
Self-sabotage.
the self-imposed is me creating my own thoughts based on what you're doing. So like you're doing something and then I take that and I'm like, oh, I'm a bad person, right? That's self-imposed. Self-sabotage is something's going good and things are going great and everything's wonderful, and the fear part is kicking in.
Like that it's not going to last, or
The fear piece is kicking in, and when the fear piece kicks in, then the self-sabotage comes in to try and like, oh wait, hold on, let me like, no, this is too good, everything's too wonderful, I need some chaos, I need something, right? Because my brain, there is a part of my brain that does thrive in some kind of chaos, and that's because that makes sense to me, because my life prior to you,
that does make sense,
was a lot of just like, going out and this and that,
I mean,
and all these things.
even taking on Euro is
Was
like
absolutely
is a chaotic
and now
thing,
I don't have that.
and now you don't have that either.
I don't have Euro. Now Euro's gone. Euro was a lot of chaos in my life, but I fucking loved it because he's constantly like, I loved it. Now he's gone, It's like almost like, and this, like, so people have said to me, I think we've had this conversation, how I'm not an addict, I'm not an alcoholic, but yet, so if you are familiar with adult children of alcoholics, which I also switched that term, so ACOAs/ACODs, adult children of dysfunction. Dysfunction meaning any dysfunctional, unhealthy environment that you were in, So that could be anything, guys. That could
we
look
should
like
talk about
anything.
that next podcast.
That could look like anything. So what happens is, if you are an ACOA or an ACOD, you have certain traits, characteristics. It's called the laundry list. Look it up. For those of you who are interested in anything like this, if you think you kind of may be in that category, it's called a laundry list of ACOA. Okay. And one of the characteristics on the laundry list is says that we become para-alcoholics. Now, I want to, because it's actually, the term is actually adult children of alcoholics. I just take out the alcoholic word and I put the word dysfunction in there because it can literally goes with anything that's dysfunctional. But on the laundry list, on the very bottom, I think it's number like 9 or some shit like that, it says, we become para-alcoholics. What a para-alcoholic is it's, you end up taking on traits of the alcoholic, of the addict, of maybe the dysfunction that's going on, but you are not actually an addict or an alcoholic, but you take on the traits.
So you've dated a bunch of fucked up guys, is that what you're saying?
Well, I actually have dated a lot of addicts,
so
right?
On their shit.
But so what I'm saying is, the wanting to self-sabotage and the thriving in chaos piece, going back to that. A lot of addicts, alcoholics, people who lived in dysfunctional environments, chaos is a big part of their life. Okay. So the brain starts to thrive or become accustomed in chaos.
Like, where is, if that's gone, they're like,
if everything's simple and easy, it's like, this is like, right? So if I look at my childhood when I was growing up, the dysfunction for me, will say, was that, well, one, right? My parents got divorced. My mom left due to her own mental health issues, which obviously I didn't understand when I was younger, right? A lot of fighting in the house between my sister and my family, lots of physical between my sister and my mom, lots of stuff that
that was always just going on in the background.
Right. It was always going on. Right.
Used to it.
But here I am, adult children of dysfunction, right? And so this is where I think the chaos, and then as I got older, I always gravitated towards chaos. Always. I was always in chaotic relationships or chaotic situations or chaotic things. And as I'm here talking about this, I'm literally, here I go. This is all new, by the way,
this is great,
guys.
because
I just want everyone to know this right now. I literally just am figuring all this out right now.
We just saved like so much time in therapy, because now we're going into it and you've already processed this shit. We got extra time in there.
Well, no, because it's still you all. This is what I'm saying, is that like, that's me and my stuff. But that's not to say that you don't play a role.
I'm not saying
okay?
that.
I just want to be clear. Listen, like, this is not just me.
We all play a role. There's always something at some level.
I know that.
Like,
I just want you to understand, like, I'm taking responsibility for my piece, but there's also, you are also a whole other piece.
Like, here's the other thing too. Like, to be honest with you, like, I don't have any problems with our relationship right now. Like,
what?
Everything is how it's been. Like, it's been fine. Like, I have no... Like, it's not, I'm not upset at it. you are very like irritable about
to
different.
Me why you're not upset at it though. You're not upset at it because you also are engaging in some of the stuff that's actually really triggering and really annoying, but you have no idea. So you're just living your life the way you're living your life, not even really having any kind of understanding of what the fuck is going on in that moment. But you're not also seeing and hearing and understanding that the words that you say or how you say things have impacts on people, regardless of their own stuff. And so just because I've come up, I'm able to tap into this insight, it doesn't take away the fact that the stuff that you say or how you say it is still a fucking issue.
All right, well, we'll talk to Nancy about it. We got to get going here.
You know,
and I haven't heard from our daughter in a while. So.
Yeah, we gotta go. Anyway, so that was just that you guys just got.
I wanted to go down. That's a great. We could have talked about that the whole time. I mean,
that's actually. I didn't, but I that just came to me. Like when I black out like that, when I'm looking into space and I'm not making eye contact, that means I'm in the zone. I'm literally like.
I think that was a great realization, though.
It's like the scene of in a old school when Will Ferrell goes and has to do the debate section.
Oh yeah,
of like the ending. He's like,
give me a beer. Yeah.
yeah. All right, guys. We got to wrap up. Hope you enjoyed this chaotic episode.
It started to come together towards the end. I think.
Keanvenient Truth. Yeah. So welcome to Our Truth, and I hope that you guys have a great rest of the week.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.